You cut the lights off.
Security cameras captured Jim Jones forcefully breaking through a locked studio door in the Bronx. And before a full day even passed, 50 Cent uploaded the footage, shared what appeared to be a lease termination notice, and boldly claimed he now controls the property. But hold up, the twist nobody saw coming was Jim's reaction to 50's online taunts. This is where it gets interesting. On February 20th, 2026, 50 Cent took to Instagram and dropped the surveillance clip. The video itself carried a February 19th timestamp, just one day earlier. It showed a man standing in a hallway, repeatedly driving his foot and shoulder into a locked door. He kept striking it again and again until the door finally gave way. That man was Jim Jones.
You heard Jim? You cut the lights off.
The caption 50 Cent wrote on that first upload basically told the whole story before anyone even pressed play. The property shown in the clip is known as the IFC Factory, short for Intellectual Factory of Content, situated in the Bronx. It serves as headquarters for the podcast Let's Rap About It, co-hosted by Jim Jones, Fabulous, Dave East, and Mayo. This is the spot where they shoot episodes, handle production, and stream their content. It's more than just a space they borrow. That building is the engine behind their operation. And listen to this, 50 didn't just drop one camera angle, he shared several. The clips came from multiple security cameras positioned along the same corridor. He even included what appeared to be a lease termination notice addressed to Joseph Jones, which is Jim Jones's legal name, indicating the tenancy had officially been canceled. A 15-day default notice dated around January 5, 2026 was cited as expiring on January 22nd. So by February 19th, the night Jones was seen forcing that door open, the lease had reportedly been inactive for weeks. Jim's reaction to the footage didn't take long. He didn't dispute it. He didn't issue a formal response. Instead, he uploaded a video of himself wearing the same dark outfit and boots from the surveillance clip, chopping wood with martial arts style strikes, while a Last Dragon played across a massive screen behind him. That caption instantly turned into the catchphrase of the week. Kung Fu Jim became the nickname floating everywhere. Memes flooded timelines within minutes. The video pulled in millions of views across Instagram, YouTube, and X before the sun even set. But hold up, if you really want to understand why it hit so hard, why it felt like the final punchline to a joke months in the making, you gotta rewind. This wasn't random smoke. The footage didn't just fall out of the sky. The friction between 50 Cent and the Let's Rap About It crew goes back to late 2025, when something was said on that couch that clearly struck a nerve, and 50 decided he wasn't letting it slide. The moment they labeled the 50's Netflix project a mockumentary, that was the spark. Everything after that, the leaked calls, the unpaid rent claims, the ownership flex, the hallway footage, that was gasoline. And by February 20th, 2026, the entire internet was watching it burn. The timeline from that single day shows exactly how serious this beef had become. First, the surveillance dropped, then the paperwork hit. A few hours later, 50 posted a photo beside a man identified as Sam, introduced as the building's owner, and claimed he now had a stake in the property. Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Fix every door you kick, or I'm kicking you, Jimmy. By Monday, you are damaging my property. In less than 24 hours, 50 Cent went from trolling to positioning himself as a landlord. Jim Jones answered with an Instagram story that read, "Give me a second, I'm figuring out what I should promo while I've got the spotlight again." Same footage, two totally different energies. And that contrast, that's what made this explode. So let's peel it back from the start, that mockumentary jab. Because if you want to understand the door-kicking moment, you have to understand the buildup. And the buildup goes further back than most people realize during the February frenzy. It began with a Netflix release. In late 2025, 50 dropped the documentary on Netflix. Since he executive produced it, he pushed it heavily. During an episode of Let's Rap About It, Jim and the crew watched it and shared their thoughts live. They called it a mockumentary. That word wasn't accidental. it doesn't just mean trash. It suggests the project isn't serious journalism, that it's performance dressed up as an investigation, that it's almost a parody. 50 heard that, and instead of a diss track or a press interview, he did what he always does. He went business mode. He started posting alleged leaked audio from conversations with the IFC Factory's owner, Sam, discussing overdue rent tied to the podcast crew. The numbers thrown around ranged from $80,000 to $180,000, with early claims even touching $250,000. The message was calculated. You question my credibility? Let's audit yours. Let's talk about whether you can afford the studio you're sitting in while critiquing me. The financial angle became the weapon, and 50 kept swinging it. At one point, he mentioned Jones allegedly wiring close to $200,000 toward arrears, and sarcastically joked that maybe he'd turn into a reliable tenant after all. He even teased buying the building outright just to control the leverage. The memes didn't stop. The tags kept coming. This dragged on for months. By January 2026, fellow Dipset member Cam'ron jumped in, joking online about the studio lacking heat during winter. 50 amplified that too. The narrative snowballed. It became a storyline about a crew allegedly behind on obligations while still recording in a space they might not legally control. Jones tried to flip the optics. He posted walkthroughs of a growing facility, reframing it as expansion, not struggle. But the rent question never fully disappeared. Every response just fed the cycle. And here's the key part. This shows 50's strategy. He never treated this like a traditional rap feud. No diss record, no lyrical war. He reframed it into landlord versus tenant, into responsibility. Every post hammered the same theme. You criticized my project while your own paperwork wasn't clean. That framing boxed Jones in. React emotionally, you validated. Stay silent, the posts keep coming. There was no easy escape, only escalation. Then February 19th arrived. That night, surveillance cameras inside the IFC factory caught Jim Jones in the hallway. The lease had already lapsed. The door was locked. Instead of waiting, he allegedly kicked and struck it repeatedly until it opened. Whatever the reason, gear inside, business to handle, prior access, the footage existed. And after months of buildup, 50 got his hands on it. The termination notice posted alongside the clip referenced a 15-day default from around January 5th, 2026, expiring January 22nd. That means by February 19th, the tenancy had already been over for nearly a month. If it was a lockout, it wasn't sudden. It was procedural, a slow burn reaching its end. So when 50 uploaded that footage on February 20th, it wasn't random humiliation. It was the climax. Every meme, every audio snippet, every Cam'ron joke, it all led to that one hallway image. Jim Jones kicked open a door at a studio he allegedly no longer had rights to enter. The real question now is this: who actually won? Because 50 didn't stop. The footage alone was explosive, but within hours he doubled down. A second wave of posts followed. This time it wasn't just evidence, it was positioning. He uploaded a photo standing next to the owner, Sam, and wrote, "Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Fix every door you kick, or I'm kicking you, Jimmy. By Monday, you're damaging my property."
Let that sink in for a second. 50 Cent went from uploading footage of a rival's awkward lockout to announcing on Instagram that he now partially owned the very building where it happened. In a single afternoon, the storyline flipped from Jim Jones caught on camera to Jim Jones's new landlord is 50 Cent. The rollout felt surgical. Reports had already suggested the podcast crew owed serious back rent, figures floating between $80,000 and $180,000, and had been negotiating with the landlord since at least October 2025. 50 had been hinting about this for months, joking that he might just buy the place outright. Now he was claiming he'd done exactly that, or at minimum entered a partnership with the owner. Whether that ownership was formally documented or not, because as of February 25, 2026, no verified deeds were publicly confirmed, the impact was immediate. It completely reframed the feud. This wasn't two rappers trading shots anymore. This was a business chess move. By inserting himself into the property equation, 50 made every studio visit feel symbolic, like walking into his space. The "fix every door by Monday" warning added urgency. It put a ticking clock on the narrative. Audiences suddenly had something to wait for. Would Jones fix it? Fire back? Ignore it? That deadline raised the stakes. It also shifted the optics. Now, Jones looked like a tenant being addressed publicly by someone enjoying the upper hand. And optics, let's be real, are everything in moments like this. 50 has built a reputation for crafting viral images that stick, and the idea of Jim Jones answering to 50's business partner over property damage? That travels. This wasn't random behavior. It followed a familiar pattern. Collect receipts, post strategically, apply business leverage, set a public countdown. The difference this time? The receipts were literal surveillance footage. The leverage was alleged co-ownership, and the deadline involved physical property. Even the original caption mattered. Damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we were friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know, let's rap about it, lol. That line cleverly flipped the name of the podcast into the punchline. It wasn't aggressive on the surface. It read playful, casual, which made it land harder. The LOL wasn't accidental. It signaled confidence, maybe even amusement, and that projected calm became part of the power play. Media outlets and commentators, including DJ Academics, covered the saga heavily. Some framed it as peak pettiness, others pointed out the real-world implications of lease terminations and alleged property damage. The clips flooded YouTube and Instagram, stacking millions of views within hours. Sensational headlines even hinted at possible legal trouble for breaking in, but as of February 25, 2026, no verified criminal charges or lawsuits had surfaced. And that detail matters. What 50 executed wasn't formal legal action. It was a social media offensive designed with courtroom-level precision. Each post stacked onto the last. The leaked audio suggested debt. The Cameron memes amplified the financial narrative. The hallway footage showed a locked-out tenant. The ownership photo flipped the hierarchy, and the Monday deadline glued it all together with urgency. What 50 built on February 20, 2026 was a full storyline. Here's alleged unpaid rent, here's the termination notice, here's the door being kicked, here's me claiming ownership, and here's the clock ticking. That's media strategy, not just beef. And it worked because the internet was locked in. The only piece left, Jim Jones's response. And what he did next wasn't what most people expected. It flipped the energy entirely. By the afternoon of February 20, 2026, Jim Jones was trending everywhere. The surveillance clip was viral. The termination notice with his legal name was circulating. 50 had just told millions he was connected to the building Jones was locked out of. Most people would have gone silent. Some would have called attorneys. Others would have posted an angry rant. Jones? He dropped a kung fu video. The clip was quick, maybe 15 to 30 seconds. He appeared inside what looked like the studio, wearing the same outfit seen in the surveillance footage, same dark clothes, same boots. He threw the camera and threw exaggerated martial arts moves, rapid chops, dramatic kicks, over-the-top wood-breaking gestures. Playing behind him on a large screen was the 1985 cult martial arts comedy The Last Dragon, starring Taimak, a film deeply loved in hip-hop culture for blending kung fu action with black identity and humor. That choice wasn't random. It turned Kung Fu Jim from mockery into a cultural callback. The caption read, "Kung Fu Jim is what they call him. I need a good movie to watch on this big screen. We got cable, lol." That second sentence was subtle but strategic. It flexed the studio's amenities, the big screen, the cable, pushing back against the narrative of financial distress without directly addressing the lease drama. No mention of termination, no acknowledgement of ownership claims. Just vibes, just laughter. Outlets noted he intentionally wore the same outfit to make the connection obvious. He wasn't hiding from the footage, he was remixing it. The act of kicking a door became the origin story of a persona, and it spread fast. Accounts like DJ Academics, The Shade Room, and XXL reposted it, racking up millions of views and comments praising the creativity. The narrative online shifted from Jones got exposed to Kung Fu Jim unlocked the door. That pivot happened within hours. But he didn't stop there. After 50 posted the photo with Sam claiming ownership, Jones returned to Instagram stories. "Give me a second, I'm trying to figure out what I need to promote while I have the spotlight again." Then came another slide. "This fool promoting me free." He closed it out with, "IFC news coming soon, lol." 3 story slides, clean execution. He didn't deny anything, didn't argue paperwork, didn't address deadlines. He reframed everything, including months of trolling, as marketing fuel. In his version of events, 50 didn't corner him, he boosted him. Instead of looking pressured, Jones looked entertained. And that twist? That's the part 50's entire strategy may not have been designed to counter, because it's hard to embarrass someone who decides to laugh and monetize the moment. This strategy actually fits Jim Jones perfectly. He's built a reputation on meeting controversy with charisma, leaning into the joke instead of swinging back. But what made this moment different was the precision and the speed. In the very same afternoon the surveillance clip surfaced, Jones had already uploaded a response wearing the identical outfit, introduced the Kung Fu Jim persona pulled straight from the footage, tied it to the cult classic The Last Dragon, hinted that the studio was still active and fully equipped, flipped 50's trolling into free marketing, and teased upcoming content to ride the wave. That doesn't happen by accident. That's preparation. That's someone who's thought through how to survive a viral ambush. The moves felt calculated to keep fans entertained and the podcast buzzing, without escalating into legal threats or street tension. By keeping it humorous, Jones sidestepped escalation. If he'd gone aggressive, the narrative becomes a beef spiraling out of control. If he'd gone silent, 50's storyline dominates uncontested. Instead, he moved quickly and comically, positioning himself as an active player, not just the punchline. Media outlets described it as stylish deflection and free promo brilliance, and YouTube reactions focused on how he turned an eviction narrative into a marketing moment. As of February 25, 2026, no new escalation from Jones had surfaced, suggesting the humor-first strategy kept things viral without tipping into something heavier. But let's separate the memes from reality. The Kung Fu clips didn't settle rent balances, they didn't fix damaged doors, and the 50's public Monday deadline still technically lingered without formal resolution. So what's actually happening beyond Instagram? Beneath the edits and captions, there's a legitimate dispute, one involving contracts, money, and legal exposure. The IFC factory wasn't just a backdrop, it functioned as the primary recording hub for Let's Rap About It, co-hosted by Jones, Fabulous, Dave East, and Mayo. This wasn't a hobby, it was operational infrastructure. Losing access would directly impact production and distribution. Allegations of overdue rent went public in December 2025, after the podcast criticized the 50's documentary. The numbers thrown around, between $80,000 and $180,000, with some claims as high as $250,000, were widely reported but not confirmed through public court filings. Reports also suggested Jones wired roughly $200,000 at one point, indicating a real and ongoing dispute, though the exact balance remained unclear as of late February 2026. A lease termination notice addressed to Joseph Jones referenced a 15-day default notice issued around January 5th, expiring January 22nd, and was posted publicly by 50 alongside the footage. That document is central. It suggests the termination process began weeks before the hallway incident. Now, here's where it gets complicated. New York City tenant law. Analysts online pointed out that even after lease termination, landlords typically must secure a court order before executing an eviction. Changing locks without judicial authorization can qualify as an illegal lockout, regardless of unpaid rent. Unverified reports claimed police were called to the scene after the door incident. If accurate, that could indicate Jones retained legal access pending formal eviction proceedings. He has since posted content appearing to show continued access to the studio, including garage entries and promotional material suggesting the space remains active. Whether that reflects a temporary arrangement, unresolved tenancy rights, or something else entirely hasn't been publicly clarified. As for the 50's ownership claim, it appears based on a partnership photo with a man identified as Sam. No publicly verified deed transfers or formal filings had surfaced in May.